Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. For today, we have on the show, she's back, the incredible, the amazing, the badass, superstar, the one and only, the legendary. What can I say? Mallory. Mallory, how are you today?
So great. How are you? It's good to be back.
It's fantastic. And what better way to have an incredible, super badass day, morning, than to be chatting with someone as badass, legendary as you know what I mean? You're alone right now. By now.
Thank you. Today's already going to be an epic day because we're chatting.
There you go. I love it. Now, before we start, I want to thank those who are tuning in. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, description below, you're going to find all of Mallory's social media. Let's make her viral already. If you haven't followed her, go follow her now and then come back here. Hashtag Team Mallory, by the way. And also, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. And without further more, let's jump in. So for today, we're going to be chatting about the upcoming films during this whole year, right? So before we start, Mallory, tell me, like, what film have you watched recently?
Oh, I'm trying to think what I watched most recently. I want to say Oppenheimer was the most recent one. I was supposed to
Okay.
go see Poor Things and then plans fell through. So I think Oppenheimer was the last one.
There you
What
go.
about you? What was the last film you watched?
Barbie.
Barbie! Ah! I
Yeah.
feel like that's a standard answer for 90% of the population at this point.
Right? I didn't watch it on cinema. I was super excited to watch it, to be honest, because I want to see what the fuss was about.
Right.
But I just couldn't, either because something happened, either the cinemas were closed, anything happened. So I was like, okay, I'm
hmm
just gonna watch it like whenever it's on the streaming platforms. And then it's now on HBO. So I was like, I'm gonna watch it now. So I did watch it, and yeah, okay. And now I understand what the fuss was about, because I was feeling like a little bit
Right.
outside whenever they were making jokes about the film or references to it. And I was like, I have no idea what they're talking about. So
I don't you I mean I love it and I hate it that if you haven't seen a film yet and people it has grown a cult following and a lot of people are enjoying it that they'll make references that you can't get at all.
yeah,
So
no.
I guess that's a good way to encourage people to go watch a film, but
Mm-hmm.
also just I want to
Yeah,
know.
and that happens to me like a lot of time. Like whenever I'm doing interviews, things like that, and
Yeah,
they will talk about a film or anything, and they will be telling me like, "Have you watched that film?" It's a classic. And every now and then I will say like, "Sure, yeah, I watch it." And on the other hand, I'm just writing it like, I need to watch this film like right now. So yeah.
I have an ever-growing IMDb watch list of films that I will probably go to my grave with at least 1,000 films
Hmm.
unwatched, but we're trying.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, that film was good. So yeah, and as I said, I understand now what the fuss was about. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, now I can join the conversation. But unfortunately, that kind of conversation is kind of gone for the moment.
Yeah.
So now I can't talk about it only until the Oscars, and then, which I can say, I have watched that film. I can totally agree, or so
hmm For
happens.
sure.
But anyway, besides that, so here are a couple of lists that, for the films that are apparently going to be released this year, or they are already released.
hmm
Right. Now, before we start, I'm checking this info on this website called Esquire.com. So thank you
Oh,
guys.
cool.
Now the first one I'm seeing here is a film called The Zone of Interest, which is out now.
Ooh.
And it says that it's a domestic drama that plays out in front of hidden horrors, called British director-writer Jonathan Glazer critically acclaimed film focused on Nazi Commandant Rudolf Höss and his family home, the garden of which shares a high concrete wall with Auschwitz concentration camps, losing the base on the 2014 novel of the same name by the late Martin Amis. So what do you think about that film?
I've actually seen a trailer for that. It seems really interesting, and I feel like I don't know, maybe when I was younger I didn't pay attention, but I feel like nowadays we have much more of a gravity towards period pieces, especially those that talk about the most tumultuous periods of the world. So I find it really interesting, and I think it's a perspective that hasn't been
Hmm.
seen yet. Whether or not it needs to be seen is up for debate, but I think it is a really interesting tale that we haven't heard yet. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I'd go see it. What about you?
Yeah, I will watch it too.
Yeah.
Those type of films, which they will tell more of a story instead of the whole action stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes it's a nice change to see, like, okay, I want to see more about the whole drama and and facts and things like that. And sometimes, sure, it's fun to watch action, things like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, will definitely be interesting. Watch this for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, the next film I have for you is American Fiction, which is also out now. It goes Jeffrey Wright gives that might be a career best performance as Professor Thelonious Monk Ellison, a frustrated academic negotiating the complexities and occasional absurdities of the conversations about the race in which our culture is currently involved. What do you think about this film?
I really want to see American Fiction. It's been on my list since the trailer dropped. The cast is stacked. They have wonderful actors attached. It's a great story, really relevant, and just funny. If you watch the trailer, it is extremely comedic. A lot of wonderful verbal comedy by the whole cast, but like a sensitive topic. So I'm so excited. I haven't seen it yet, but that's definitely like top of my list, I'd say.
Okay, okay, fair
Have you
enough,
heard of it
fair enough.
before?
I haven't heard of it before.
Yeah. I highly recommend it, honestly. I haven't seen it yet, but with that cast and the way that the trailer looks, it looks really promising.
Yeah. That is like one of the things that kind of annoys me sometimes because like there's a lot of stuff, like releasing, for example, on Netflix, HBO, Disney Plus, cinema. I
Mhm.
mean, there's a lot of films that get released sometimes in which when I heard about, I'm like, oh, I want to watch this film, and they're like, no, I mean that film got released last year, and I'm like, oh crap. So what about this one? No, that got released
Oh,
last month. I was like, okay, and that one that got released. Like there's like so much stuff in which sometimes I will get lost between, and whenever I try to like catch up to date, it's impossible. But definitely,
oh.
I'll be curious to watch that film. Sure.
Hmm.
Hmm. The next one I got for you is Madame Web, which is going to be released on February 14th. And it's the millage of the Spider-Man free Spider-Man movies of the last decade, or so has been variable. Whether this will be a Venom, surprisingly good, or a Morbius remains to be seen. But Dakota Johnson will play Cassie Webb, paramedic by day, Clay Variant, and Physique, who can see into other spiders, people living by night. Anyway, so what do you think about this film?
Um, I've seen the trailer for it and I'm interested.
Mm,
I feel like it's nice to have another strong female lead character in Marvel. I can't remember, was the last release Captain Marvel that went down during the strike, so they didn't get a lot of
mm-hmm.
um like publicity with it. So yeah, I'm hoping just as a woman in film and a woman in action, it's nice to see that. I've never seen Dakota Johnson in a role like this, so it'll also be kind of cool to see how she plays in action. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'd still say American Fiction's my top,
Mm-hmm.
but this also, do you know if her character is from DC comic or from Marvel Comics, or if this is something that they've created?
It's from Marvel,
It is from Marvel. Okay,
apparently.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm kind of a little bit tired of superhero stuff. You know, I mean, I love it. There was a
Yeah.
time in which I was like super excited, but then I was like, okay, please stop for a while because they're releasing like a film and then the TV show, and like especially like on Marvel, that you need to watch that TV show in order to connect to that film, in order to connect to that TV show, so you can understand the next
Right.
film. Like there is so much stuff that they have released like this past, like last year, in which
Hmm.
I totally got lost at this. I
It's
mean,
overwhelming.
yeah, like the last thing I saw, which was brilliant, was Loki season 2.
Oh, really? I have yet to
That was epic.
finish Loki. I think I started the first two episodes and never got past it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that was the last thing I saw, in which I was like, okay, this is really cool. Okay,
Yeah.
now we're talking. But they just keep releasing stuff,
Yeah.
and as I said, I got lost. I mean, definitely, perhaps I will watch this, but until it's on like on a streaming platform.
Sure. And like it's something that I'll watch over the course of several days if it's a
Mm-hmm.
feature film.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we can't say that Marvel doesn't do any work. They put
Yeah,
out a lot of
a lot
releases.
of it, a lot of it. Yeah, and,
Insane.
and like one of the things that I have noticed also is that like every single film or TV show, they just keep raising the bar.
Oh yeah.
and like every time I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, at what point they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna stop for a while because they just like keep racing it and racing it and racing it, which is great. But but yeah, I think it would be good if they can, give it a break for a while at least,
Hmm.
So, yeah. The next one I got for you is Perfect Days, which is gonna be released on February 23rd. And it's a sad, happy story about a Tokyo toilet cleaner whose spotless routine is interrupted by a surprise visitor. Directed by German author Wim Wenders and co-written by Japanese filmmaker Takuma Takasaki. Be prepared for some weapon-grade melancholy with a brilliant Kane's Best Actor winning performance from Japanese screen veteran Koji Yakusho. What do you think about this one?
The toilet cleaner part threw me off. I've never heard of a story about a toilet cleaner before. Um, sure. It sounds interesting. I wonder, like, do you know if it's supposed to be a comedy?
Let me check.
Because the image that I have in my brain is either it's like a rom-com of an odd sort or extremely dark action film.
So it says here. So okay, so it's from Japanese screen veteran Koki Yakusho. But even if being quite sad for 2 hours isn't your idea of a good time, the many scenes
Nope.
of white porcelain being wiped down will satisfy anyone with a TikTok feed clocked with housework ASMR, something for everyone.
Sounds
Hmm,
like something my sister would watch, but probably not for me.
right? I
You
mean,
seem a bit intrigued. Would you watch it just to see what it's like?
perhaps just a couple of minutes and be like, okay,
Yeah.
if we're good, right, let's watch it. Or like
Yeah.
one of the things that I've been doing recently is that whenever a film gets my attention, I will just wait until it's released, and then I will
Mhm.
watch like a ton of reviews, but specifically reviews that goes more deep into the story, and not
Sure.
about like, oh, it's a good one or a bad one, no, like more focus in the story. And if that
Mhm.
and if that pass, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it now.
Okay. Good move.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna watch it, but sounds
Sure.
intriguing. Toilets, and
Toilets?
porcelain,
Who's not interested in that?
right? Who wouldn't? Now, the next one I
Okay.
got for you is Dune Part 2, which is going to be released on March 1st. What do you think about that one? Did you watch the first one?
I didn't. You didn't either? My father is in love with that series. He's read the books, he's read everything by that author. I and I don't know why I didn't watch it. I guess because there was such a big hype about it, and
Mm,
it was just another one of those lores that I didn't want to get stuck in, like Marvel or Star
mm-hmm,
Wars.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, this could be a good opportunity to watch both of them back to back, though. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, I didn't watch for my parents loved it. And they're
Yeah,
like super excited about. I mean, they were the first who knew about that before They
yeah.
were one time calling me and they were like, you know what? Did you know that that Dune Part 2 is coming? I was like, what? Yeah, yeah, it's coming. I was like, I didn't watch the first one. What? You
Right.
didn't watch that one? What are you talking about? Go watch it now. Like, okay, I will. I haven't watched it
Yeah. How funny.
yet. Yeah, but it says that, I mean, from what people told me, is that is actually really good. It has like a lot of cool effects, cool story, things like that. But
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
mhm,
And that for people that have read the book, it stays quite true to the
mhm,
novel, and that's why it's taken in two parts, as it's such a massive undertaking.
yeah.
So I can respect that because I tend to read books before I watch a movie if that is where it's being derived from.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
The next one I got for you is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It releases on March 29.
I want to look up, do you know who the cast is? If it's the same cast as the earlier one with Kate McKinnon and Melissa McCarthy?
I can find that
Ghostbusters,
real quick.
McKinnon. Oh, oh, it has the old team. It's got Bill
Yeah,
Murray in it.
and it has
Hold
Paul Rudd. Yeah.
Okay, no shame to the previous Ghostbusters, but I would watch it to see these classic actors go into it again and relive their old story.
Should be
Yeah,
interesting.
I'd do it. Yeah, I don't
Should
know.
be interesting.
It does say, is it going to be a comedy? Yeah, it's a comedy, so that's good.
Hmm.
They're
I
not taking
mean,
themselves
if it
seriously.
has if it has Paul Rudd in it, you know that it's gonna that there's gonna be comedy at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Same with Bill Murray. Like, there's no way. You
Hmm.
can't keep a straight face when that person's on set.
Yeah, you can't.
Love it.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll watch that one. I mean, but I will have to watch the first one, right? That got released, I think, last year or 2 years ago.
I'm so behind. I'm thinking like way back to like the first. Well, were they? Am I misspeaking? Was Paul Rudd and Bill Murray in the original?
Hmm.
No. Well, oops.
No,
I
I
have
don't.
no idea then.
So
What
so
the
there were the
order
old
is.
ones with Bill Murray, and like all of those guys. Then
Yeah.
they released one in which Chris Hemsworth was on it.
Oh.
Then they released another one, and then that connects with the last one they released.
Mhm.
Something about that.
I am so out of the loop. I have no clue.
Yeah,
Sorry to the original cast.
yeah. I mean, I will watch it for sure, but
Sure, I would watch it if it came out on streaming. I'm not sure if I would go into the theater for it.
yeah,
But
same
I'm
thing
also
here.
very particular
Yeah,
about my comedy.
yeah,
If I'm gonna
yeah.
go see a comedy in the cinema, I need to be 100% certain it's going to be good.
Hmm. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, 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 yeah. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, that film. It sounds like the perfect for streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
You came home. You're about to relax. You're like, oh, what I'm gonna watch? Oh, it's this film. I'm gonna watch it now.
Right. Like sit home with the family, eat pizza, and watch it kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it like that. Okay, okay. The next one I got for you is Civil War, which is gonna be released on April 26th, and it says Alex Garland, Ex Machina Annihilation, Men's Steps, does plausible future shock extremely well, and Kristen Dunst fronts up this one. The title pretty runs still. The states is in a state and could break out into full scale civil war at any moment. The Western forces of Texas and California, an unlikely alliance, but they were. So it's basically kind of a film, from what I understand here, from what is about to happen at some point. You know what I mean?
Ooh. So it's like don't look up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't probably not. Probably not. I don't need I don't need more of that in my life. I'm a great aspiration. What I loved Don't Look Up, but it also took me, I think, 2 weeks to finish it just because it
Mm-hmm.
was so gut-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all stuff that I know, and then just being slapped it with it in the face is rough.
Yeah.
I don't, do you enjoy that kind of film? Is that something that you go for?
No, I get pissed.
Oh, really?
like literally, I get pissed. Like whenever that type of like that those type of films,
Hmm.
I get pissed because I see that happen. I mean, like I totally see that happening. And I'm like, yeah, I see
Oh,
that
of
happening.
course.
Like yeah,
Yeah. It it's almost taking away the hope that something's going to be better. And not necessarily because we're trying to be naive, but just, if you are going to present something like that, present a solution.
yeah, because it's crazy. Like the other day, I was watching the news. I was in the wormhole of YouTube, right? And
Oh
then
boy.
I watched the news. I was like, okay, I want to watch the news. So I watched the news, and then that took me to another news, and to another, and to another, and like 2 hours later, I was fully watching like everything happening, and
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I was kind of a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say devastated, but I would say disappointed because I was like,
Yeah.
like what the hell is going on here? So we have a war that is happening in Europe, a war that is happening in the Middle East, an upcoming war that is going to happen in Asia, kind of
Mhm.
a kind of a conflict that is happening on Texas between like the whole immigrants things like that.
Mhm.
And I was like what the hell is going on here? Like people are. I mean, like are we really like losing our minds here, or like
Oh, we're slowly crumbling into a decrepit mess. Like it's great.
yeah, it's crazy. I was like okay, and also that Sweden is also one of the most, I mean, I wouldn't say dangerous countries, but has like a lot of crime thing happen over
Oh,
there, like
really? I
with
didn't know that.
gangs shooting people and things like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Interesting. And like the whole, and I remember that while I was watching that, I got into a point. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm just gonna watch something else now, so I can distract my mind or something else because this is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
film. Yeah. Mm-mm. I mean, I don't want to watch
Mm-mm.
something that I don't want to watch something that is already that I that is you know what I mean. I mean, I want to watch
Really love it.
something
Yeah,
different. You know.
sure. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like some people might be inspired by it. For me, I'd rather watch a comedy.
Yeah, or this can, or, do something else or take
Or
a
a
nap.
scary movie. Yeah, take a nap. Ooh, that'd be nice.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, so we'll leave that, on the side here.
Yeah.
So the next one I got for you is okay, so it's the Fall Guy, and it goes. Think of this as Drive, but with Ken in the driving seat. Ryan Gosling is called a slightly stunt driver who's beginning to struggle to pass his MOT. He's
Oh.
working on his girlfriend, Jodie or Emily Blunt. Her first as a director. Anyway, what do you think about this
Ooh, I'm interested to see how Emily Blunt does as a director. Especially, I think there are some action elements to it.
one? Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm interested to see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily if the storyline is gripping. But yeah, good for her directorial debut.
Yeah, her husband has also direct, right? John Krasinski. He
Mm-hmm.
did A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. He did all of the Quiet Places, yeah.
Have you watched those?
I want to say I'll watch them both. I know I watched the first one. I might not have seen the second one yet. Um, yeah, I was really impressed. And I remember the two of them going into interviews talking about the discussion that they had if working together in that capacity was a good idea because they've acted together, but they've never had one person directing and the other person acting. So,
Yep.
um, and I thought they did a wonderful job. They're a great team. So yeah, I'm interested to see how she does directing. Yeah, I don't know what I imagine that to be, so I'm
Hmm.
excited for her.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the second. No, yeah, I watched the second one first, and then the first one, and they were actually pretty. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally backwards, and they were pretty cool. But something that happened to me is like when I watched the first one, a couple of months before, I watched The Office again.
Oh,
So when I was watching A Quiet Place, it's like I'm watching Jim Halpert. You know.
yeah. It is hard. I mean, I love episodics, but it is really hard to look at somebody from a long-standing episodic and a different character and not think of it.
Hmm.
Like, oh, there was somebody from Big Bang Theory that ended up doing a different series. And all I could think of was just the absolute dork nerd that they had played in Big Bang Theory
Hmm.
for so many years.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And also, I think John Krasinski did another film called 13 Hours, which was like an action, Michael Bay film.
Yeah.
You know what is gonna happen there. And as I was watching it, it's like I'm watching Jim Halpert with guns. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll see about that one.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting for sure. The next one I got for you it's Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Comes on May 24th. It's George Miller returns to his Scorehead Desert for a prequel to his still eye propping Mad Max Fury Road. This time with Anya Taylor-Joy playing Imperator Furiosa instead of Charlize Theron. We just in the early stages of Earth ecosystem collapsing, about a half century after things started to fall apart. What do you think about that
I never got into the Mad Max series, but a
one?
lot of people that I know idolize it, really enjoy it, think it's a wonderful group of movies. What don't even collection. Um, I think Anya Taylor-Joy will do a really good job
Yeah.
of emulating a character that Charlize Theron originated. She's
Mm-hmm.
really great about picking up the nuances of other people and still being unique to it and not doing like an exact reiteration. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that is. I love everything that Anya Taylor-Joy does. So then I feel obligated to watch all of the other Mad Maxes, which is intimidating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess we have till May, right?
There you go. Let's talk about it now.
Oh, Have you seen any of the Mad Maxes yourself?
I
No.
think I watched. I think I watched one, like the old one,
Right.
and but I was a kid, and my father showed it to me, but I don't remember
Okay.
quite well. Yeah, and after that, none of it.
No. Yeah.
So I'm kind of a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds interesting, sure. Since it says it's a prequel, I'm like, okay, so it's good if I started with this one then, right?
You're not wrong. Yeah.
So guess we'll see. But that one definitely on streaming, cinema.
Yeah.
Mm, no, I mean, yeah, not. I mean, who knows? But at least right now, I don't think.
Yeah. I think if I ended up watching the other two that were produced, or however many were produced previously first, and
Yeah,
I really, really enjoy them, I might go to cinema. But I also might do what you suggested of just watching from prequel to the end.
yeah,
We'll check back with each other in May.
sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. The next one I got for you is Twisters, and it says, "What's scarier than a tornado? Many, many tornadoes." This is billed as an update for the 1996 Twister with Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, and Philip Seymour Hoffman. But quite what shape it'll take as it touches down is in a long range. Forecasters are still uncertain about, so on, so on, so on. So, what do you think about that one?
I don't know about you, but it sounds like Sharknado. Just taking taking an idea and just let's make it crazier.
Right? I'm super sure they were like, okay, what's scarier than a tornado? And the other guys were like, another tornado?
More tornadoes?
I love it. What else? What about two tornadoes? Make it more. Three, make it four.
Crazier.
Love it.
I really
Yeah.
don't know what to think. I really don't. Um, yeah, how interesting. I wonder if this is something that like Helen Hunt's attached to.
Mm,
If it's intended to be like how Sharknado was, where Sharknado became intended for comedy and not and like absurdity,
yeah.
or if they're really trying to relive the IP of Twister. Because Twister, when it was first made, was terrifying.
Yeah.
A lot of people were scared of it. There were
Totally.
rides that were made and like named after it, because just the experience itself was terrifying. So I don't know. I feel like it'll be like Sharknado, and I don't
Yeah.
need to see that in the theater.
No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, would you see it in a theater? Could you argue that it'll be better in a theater than it would be in a home?
Fair point. I mean, if it makes me laugh, sure.
Sure.
But I do think that if you're gonna watch that film, make sure that your expectations are at your lowest.
Well, yeah, like evaluate your expectations because I did that improperly with Cabin in the Woods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love thrillers, I love horror films, and everyone had recommended Cabin in the Woods to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was going in, taking it seriously, and then it kept going, and I got more and more irritated.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out furious, and everyone was surprised. I had no clue that that's what it was going for.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was crazy.
yeah.
No, no.
So set your expectations accordingly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I heard about that film, and then it says that Rupert Grint was on it, I was like, Rupert Grint? He's back?
What?
I was like, are you kidding me? Okay, but
It's
yeah, same.
Sigourney Weaver? I was like, yes, let's go.
But when I watched it, I was like, okay,
Cool.
no. Yeah, I watched that on a bus.
Did you really?
Yeah, so
Well, that's a bold move for any film that you're going into not knowing what's happening.
yeah, I watched it on a bus because I was like, it was like a 4 hour trip. So like they have like this screen. I was like, okay, let's see what they have. And then it says
Yeah.
release Cabin in the Woods, and I was like, And then I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I've heard of it. And yeah, no, I ended up like stopping, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a nap.
Good for you. I pushed all the way through. I had to take a break,
Oh my god.
um, probably like half an hour before the end, where it just really goes to the wall.
No.
When Sigourney Weaver pipes in,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had to give myself a little walk around the house before I went back into it.
Yeah. 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 So
Yeah.
that is the thing. But for Twisters, I mean, I would say that if you're gonna watch it on cinema, make sure that your expectations are like super low. And who knows, maybe
Mhm.
it ended up being like a super great one. You know, maybe at the
Sure.
end we'll kind of return the like the old one, because yeah, like the first one, I remember like, when I watched it, I was terrified of storms for a while when I was a kid. Like
Oh,
whenever I will
wow.
see like like the dark sky, like it's gonna rain like
Mhm.
super hard, and I later I found out that where I live there are no tornadoes. But back then I was like, there's tornadoes everywhere.
Oh,
So
wow.
so I got like super scared. But then later on, when I found out that where I live back then it was a no tornado area. I mean, it's no tornado area, but we have a volcano near. So I was like, okay, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Later on I watched Dante's Peak. You
Oh,
know,
oh, yes, I have heard of that.
incredible film. I love that. But that one, yeah, that got me like a little bit terrified of a volcano, and because as I lived
Mhm.
back then near a volcano, yeah, it was kind of
Yeah, that'll
terrifying.
do it.
But it was a great film, by the way. I think Pierce Brosnan was on it.
Oof, I'm
I
so
think
bad with
he
that.
was on it. Yeah,
You
yeah,
might be
yeah.
right.
But it's an incredible film. But then later on, I found out that for a volcano to do something that for the film it was like nothing that will happen in reality. So I was like, good
Oh,
to
okay.
know. Yeah. So that is
Yeah.
so now I understand that if at some point I have kids, I need to really make sure they watch the different. Like whenever they're gonna watch a film, make sure that is right for it. Because for me, when I was a kid, I watched kind of Saving Private Ryan,
Oh,
Twisters,
yeah. Uh-huh.
Blair Witch Project, and I was a kid, and yeah, it got me to
Ooh.
not.
I was just like, I think I was just an odd kid. My parents introduced me to, sorry, parents, for ratting you out. I was introduced to Criminal Minds and House,
Okay.
which would be like very dark, for like crime shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like probably 5. And my parents just would tell me, just turn around if you get scared. Like, you know what you don't want to watch. So, like when I watched Twister, I loved it. I wanted to see a tornado. I would sit up at night like, is it going to be a tornado? Is it going to be a tornado? I want to see it. So our brains are just wired a little differently too.
Mm-hmm. It is the way it is. I remember
It,
my father introduced me to The Godfather
oh,
when
wow.
when I well he didn't well he kind of did because he was watching it on the living room, and back then
Yeah,
my room was next to the living room.
right there.
So
Yeah.
so when I was a kid, I was just like just looking what he was watching, like every now and then, and
Every
into
kid
that,
does that.
right? And to that, I ended up watching, as I said, I mean, Saving Private Ryan, The Godfather, Scarface,
Hmm.
like all of those type of films. That later on, I understand that I was too young to watch them, and
Yeah.
they were fun.
Yeah, they were fun. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
remember. I just think I remember laying at the top of my parents' stairs, like down into the living room, like
Mm-hmm.
trying to see. I found like this perfect spot that I could see the TV and what
And
they
you
were
were watching.
watching. And it was certainly something that I wasn't supposed to be seeing, and it terrified the heck out of me. Um, Gosh, I wish I remembered. But yeah, that was the one instant where I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. I really should. And I would run back to my room and be like, no, 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 but I want to see it. That gravity of just
Yeah.
doing something you're not supposed to.
It's about. Did you ever watch this film? It's an oldie one, but it was about this group of hunters. So basically, the film was there was this group of lions, incredibly
Hmm.
smart, super smart, and they were like hunting or kind of killing people in a tribe. I think it was in Africa, something like that.
Hmm.
And then some hunters know about it. I mean, I think that was how the film was. And then some hunters knew about it, and then got killed, and then they ended up sending like the best of the best hunters to get those lions because they were like incredibly super smart. I mean,
Yeah.
like they were really, 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 really smart. And I think one of those lions ended up at, I think it's in a museum in Chicago, because it's
Oh,
based on a
whoa.
on a true story. So when I watched that film, I didn't know what the hell I was watching, of course, but I got kind of, I got kind of, yeah, like to watch the lions and everything like that. And I think like a month later or a week later, they took me to the zoo, and I was terrified of the lions because since I saw the film, and I was like, if those guys were like incredibly smart, and but the hunters have guns, and I have nothing but
I
my
don't have
car.
anything.
I don't have anything to defend myself, and I'm a kid. I mean, what the hell I have to expect? And they were like the lions. I mean, they were beautiful, and I love them, but yeah, I got scared.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't even fathom being faced with a like a mega predator like that in the wild. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be so cool. Don't get me wrong, but also, I mean, circle of life happens.
Yeah, yeah. I once saw a bear.
You did.
That was pretty cool. That was a really cool experience. But I was kind of a little bit far away from the bear,
Right,
and the guy who was like guiding us through the whole, he was kind of a, so he knew the area basically.
right.
And then he was telling us, ah, don't worry. I mean, that bear, she's a mom. She's looking for food for her cubs. And then turns out, a couple of minutes later, there were like some cubs behind her. That was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And and then this guy told us that whenever you see something like that, don't ever get close to, because
Oh gosh.
the mom will sees you as a threat,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want an angry mom react an angry bear mom reacting to you. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, good to know. So we just stood there for a while, and of course that the like a big mama bear know about us. So I remember that she looked at us for, I think, for a couple of seconds,
Yeah.
and she just kept moving forward with her cubs to it. That was a really cool sight. But to be honest, I was kind of a little bit, like, okay, so what is gonna happen now?
Yeah.
Because I have seen videos that if a bear is chasing you, you're done.
Oh yeah. You lay down.
That you're done. So I was like,
Lay down.
okay. So that was like the only time I saw like an animal like that, like not at the zoo. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That is really cool.
Yeah, cool experience. But anyway, Twisters, we'll see. We'll leave it like that.
We'll leave it there.
All right. The next one I got for you, and I'm actually pretty excited about this one, is Deadpool 3.
Yeah. I'm pretty stoked about it because I think they did really well with the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they continue the trend of doing, interesting new developments with his story. And it's so funny. It's a funny, funny character. And the juxtaposition between all of them is great.
Yeah, I mean, you have Ryan Reynolds plus Hugh Jackman is back as Wolverine.
Yep.
I'm
Which was
prepared.
your favorite between the first two?
The first one.
Yeah.
For sure, the first one. Yeah, because it was something new, didn't know about it. And yeah, it
Mhm.
was. I remember when I watched it on theaters, I was laughing the whole time.
Oh gosh, yeah. My
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like the jokes were like a spot on. Like they literally work on it to make sure that the jokes were on spot, and that
Mhm.
was brilliant. I loved it. And you can tell also, and that's like one of the things that I do appreciate, that when an actor really cares about a character, that makes sure that every single little detail is properly presented.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I have this conspiracy theory that this is the comic book that Ryan Reynolds read every day as a kid. Like this was made for him.
Hmm.
And you can see a lot of his own personality in Deadpool. So I either like he found it and it's just the perfect match for him, or like this is something that he has dreamed of for years and he
Yeah,
made it
yeah,
happen.
yeah. It's an incredible film.
Either
Yeah,
way, incredible, and I think it's a great franchise.
yeah, and like the whole jokes to it, the whole references to old films. Yeah, it was amazing. The second one I loved it, but yeah, at least to me, I would put like on top the first one and then the second one for sure. We'll see the
Yeah.
third one. So
And then we'll see the third one.
that's pretty. Yeah,
20
I'm
years from
super
now,
excited
they
about that
say.
one. Yeah, it says July 26th.
Okay, we got time. Ah, I might not even be in the States during that. That'll be, we'll have to go watch it like opening night in different countries
Yeah, you
and
can
see how
you
it
can
goes.
do that for sure. I mean, but something that gets my attention, and I wonder, I mean, I don't know if that changed, but I remember that when I was in Germany back in 2010, yeah, back in 2010, the films that got released were all in German.
Yes. Yeah,
And that. Mhm,
I think that is the trend. And then also certain releases will be delayed in other countries as
mhm,
well. Like if it was produced in Korea, they'll release in Korea first and then distribute to
mhm,
Europe and the States and elsewhere, or vice versa. Like if it was something that was produced in the States, they're going to
yeah,
distribute to the rest of the world
mhm.
at a different time. Yeah, it's interesting. Uh,
Right, right.
and
I remember that they were like, "Hey, let's go to the movies," and I was like,
uh,
"Sure, what do we want to watch?" And I think I don't remember what film, but it was like a like a famous film. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
sure, I'm excited about it. When I watch it, it was all in German, and at that point, I didn't know anything about German.
Oh no.
So I just watch it, and I didn't remember anything of it. I mean, I wasn't, people were laughing, and when they were laughing, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, like what am I laughing about? Sure. And then I was like, okay, do you have like this film? I don't know, perhaps like in English with German subtitles? No, it's all in German. I was like, okay. So what? They ended up telling me that if I wanted that, that perhaps like in big cities like Berlin, like Munich,
Yeah.
perhaps that might happen, perhaps. But most of the times it was like all in their language, and I was like, is
Mhm.
that like everywhere? They were like, yeah. And then I went to France. Same thing happened, and I was like, okay, this is not for me, at least.
Fair. Fair. And I think that too, if you want subtitles, I mean, even if you're watching like an English movie with English subtitles, you have to specifically request them.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I wonder if it would be the same in other countries that if you're in Germany watching a German movie to get subtitles of any language, if they have multiple, I don't think you could just walk in and go see it. It would have to be like a prearranged thing.
Right? Because, for example, here in Mexico, I mean, most of the films we have it on their original language with subtitles
Right.
and the dub version, which is
Oh,
understandable.
yeah.
We have like the two versions to it.
Oh,
So
cool.
that was like a huge culture shock to me because I was like in my country we have like both
Whoa.
versions, but here they only have one version. That's pretty interesting.
Hmm. Everyone, pipe down of what your country does with other foreign language movies. I'm
Right?
interested to know. Yeah, because
Yeah.
if we have a foreign language movie in the States, they will subtitle it, but they won't dub it.
They don't? They won't?
Hmm. No, I've never, I mean, I've seen like Bollywood films. I've seen a French film and they just have the English subtitles underneath.
Hmm.
So, which
I
I kind of appreciate,
Yeah.
but I also understand how dubbing is also very helpful. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for example, here the dub versions they are really good, but when
Mhm.
they are animated films,
Right. There, yeah, it's a lot
yeah.
easier to dub an animated
Mm-hmm,
film.
mm-hmm,
But I feel like too, like for us being multilingual, it is you lose a little bit of the truth in the story when you
mm-hmm.
have to dub or transcribe it because you have to fit it into the right amount of time.
Yeah.
And with dubbing, it has to look similar. Like if
Mm-hmm,
you're saying something in English, whatever they say in French has to look kind of similar to the mouth shape that they're making,
mm-hmm.
at least for animation. So, yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting to watch a Mexican film dubbed in English. I
I'll
wonder
watch
how,
it with you.
I
Yeah.
wonder, because like
Let's see.
the other day I was with a friend of mine and we were talking about how interesting it is that in most films, whenever it's on a scene in Mexico,
Yeah.
have you ever noticed that it's always yellow?
Yeah.
All of them,
Like, yeah, like a lot of the time.
it's yellow. And while I was and he brought that to my attention. And I was
Yeah.
like, interesting, really? So we were like looking to it, and most of them the other were in yellow. So I was like, does people think that we actually see everything in yellow, or like what is going on here? Like, for example, you're in the plane and then when they say welcome to Mexico, you will open the window and then it's yellow suddenly, you know so I was like, and then one time, yeah, like one time I spoke with a director, and then
Uh-huh.
he gave me kind of an explanation that kind of makes sense. And then
Hmm.
he was telling me that for some shots, when the weather is kind of warm, they will use kind of yellow because it's warm, so the reference to it.
Right. It makes potential.
So I was
Uh-huh.
like,
Interesting.
okay, makes sense, kind of it,
Yeah.
but even though it's yellow, so.
Right. Well, and that makes me think that's a great point because if you watch like Swedish films, Sweden does a lot of filmmaking. Is it Sweden or maybe it's Norway? I mean, somewhere in the Nordic regions, they do a lot of filmmaking, and all of the film editing is in cool tones
Mhm.
because it's cold. It totally makes sense.
So perhaps that makes sense.
Interesting. I don't
Hmm.
know much about the editing world or like, developing a color theme for
Mhm.
a film. I'm always so intrigued though to see people will draw like the color palettes off of a scene. I think it is really cool how people have that brain to just
Yeah.
collect everything into that one theme. It's really cool.
Yeah, but I do want to. I do at some point. I do want to interview. I don't know, Michael Bay, or
Yeah.
an A-list director and ask him why yellow.
Yeah,
You
what is
know,
the thought process in
like
this?
why? Like
Do
what
it.
was it?
I dare you.
You know, that would be interesting to
Yeah.
know because yeah, it gets my attention that every single time it's yellow, and I'm like, we don't see yellow. I think
Yeah.
maybe I already got used to it, and perhaps it's but perhaps for someone who hasn't been here the first time, they're like, oh, it's yellow.
I don't know. When I went to Mexico City, I didn't notice that it was yellow.
Well, good to know. Yeah, it was crazy, but anyway, and so yeah, that is one of the things that gets my attention. So,
Yeah.
hmm.
Really cool. You've got a good eye.
Mm-hmm. And the last one here, two more.
Two more.
Joker Folie à Deux or Joker 2. You know the Joaquin Phoenix one?
Yes.
The
I
second one.
didn't know they were making a Joker too.
Me neither, but it says here that what to make of Joker nearly 5 years on, a $1 billion character piece built around an Oscar winning performance from Joaquin Phoenix, or a poor faced bit of pompous derivative indulgence. The follow up will see Joaquin Phoenix meeting Lady Gaga.
Oh.
So Lady Gaga will be like Harley Quinn from what I'm seeing here. Yeah.
Okay. That that can be really good. I
Right?
feel like that is entirely Lady Gaga's niche.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, especially given her performance on American Horror Story.
Right.
I'm Yeah, I'm interested to see it because I enjoyed the Joker. I think it created a lot of great conversation within filmmakers and storytellers of the way that they told the story and the direction that they gave Joaquin as a Joker, if it was necessarily beneficial or true to character. And it just created a lot of conversation in the industry of, well, does this make sense or does this make sense or why would they do that? Um, So I would love to have some conversations like that again. Regardless if it's a story I agree with or not.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that for sure.
Yeah, that was a brilliant film. Brilliant
Yeah.
film.
Gosh, when was the first one made? Do you remember? Was that
It
like
was it was
2018?
before COVID.
Yeah, it was before COVID.
Yeah. I think 1 year before COVID, 28
I was like 2018 or 2019 because
2018.
I was
Yeah.
back in Georgia at that point.
Uh-huh. It was around that time, yeah, and it was
Yeah,
incredible. It was really, 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 really cool.
I did.
So the second one, sure. I mean, I'll definitely be watching that on theater for sure. That has like
Oh, I will watch it
my
in theaters.
my bad seal of approval for sure.
Yeah, I think I ended up watching the original, like the first one, once in theaters and twice at a drive-in. And
Okay.
one night that we decided to stay for its second showing just to see if we could find any new nuances in it.
Mm,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Yeah, I watched it the first one on films, but
Hmm.
on the theater that I go to, nobody likes it because it's kind of small. But I love to go there because it's
Oh
always
yeah,
empty.
that's
So
nice.
so when I went there, it was like the whole room to myself, and I think at that point, yeah, and ex girlfriend at a time.
Uh-huh.
We watch it. It was really cool because we had like the whole place to ourselves. But don't get me wrong, at some point it got like a little bit, like I need people. Can
Yeah.
you can you put people in it because like just two people from that whole thing.
I watched Hereditary by myself. I'm not
You're
sure if you're
kidding.
familiar with the film. Um, it's a scary movie that I went in
Huh.
without any context by myself last showing of the night, and I enjoyed it. I absolutely adored it. But if it was anybody else, I think it could have been terrifying. And there were moments where I
Yeah.
was like, it would be nice to have somebody just to like react off of. There were certain points where I would laugh or I would gasp or whatever, and it would be nice just to hear somebody else's reaction at the
Yeah,
same
but you're
time.
right. It would have been more scary that if someone with a hoodie comes, right?
But oh my gosh, can you imagine? Just somebody's been sitting on the back the entire time and you're
The
hiding
entire time.
behind them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For which film was it? It was a horror film. The
Hmm.
point here was that we watched it, everything was cool, but then the guy next to me apparently was sleeping, but I didn't know about it. the thing he was is that he was like really, really, really sleeping, but like he like heavy sleeping. So when I tried to
Yeah.
wake him up and I move him, he was just like moving like he was dead. So I really got scared,
Oh
and then
no.
like think like a friend of mine, something like it was like, nah, he's sleeping, and then he just like moving like, dude, wake up. And then he woke up, and I was like, oh, okay, good, good, good to know,
Oh my
to
gosh.
know. And
Mm-mm.
that was, I think
No, thank you.
there were like 5 seconds in which I was like, is he really dead or something?
Oh my gosh, I can't. That would freak me out. Yeah,
Right?
if
That
somebody
was
takes a while to wake up, that is an instant like, all right, we're in EMT mode. Like, what do I need to do? I'm gonna check your pulse. I'm gonna check that you're breathing. Like, what is going on?
yep, yep, yep. So
No, no, no,
yeah.
no, no.
So the last one I have for you here, it's a sequel, and
Ooh,
I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch this or not, but
ooh, okay.
it's a sequel for Gladiator, Gladiator 2, comes
Uh,
November 22nd.
well, I know what I'm getting my dad for Christmas. He can quote that movie forwards and backwards.
Mm,
I probably won't,
mm-mm.
to be honest. And my first instinct though, have you heard about the Roman Empire trend that went around on TikTok?
Heard of it a little bit, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So girls would ask their like male partners, like, what do you think about, like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And it would be like some absurd amount of like, oh yeah, every day, or I was just thinking about it. And there's some like psychology behind why that's a load of but I think I want to know when the producers decided it was a good idea. If it was before the Roman Empire thing
It was
or
after.
after. So
Yeah.
I encourage you to go find a producer from that show and ask them what the timeline of this was. That's interesting. Yeah, not for me. Not
Mm-mm.
for me.
No, I don't appreciate sequels, especially when, I mean,
I just don't know
okay,
what else they could do with it, you know?
right? I mean, the first one was amazing. Just leave it like that.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, sure, I could be entirely surprised by what they've done with it, but more often than not, I'm very skeptical of a sequel. So,
Yeah. I mean, it says here that, let me see again. It says that apparently Pedro Pascal will be on it.
oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, something like that. It says, but
I would watch it at home for Pedro Pascal, but that's about it.
yeah, I mean, as I said here, I mean, I will definitely be. I mean, I'm not watching on films, perhaps on streaming at some point because I mean, the first and that is the one, and I hate like this trend whenever that happens that they release a film. I don't know, like 15 or 20 something years ago. It was cool,
Right.
loved it, leave it like that, and then they decided like we're gonna make a sequel to it, and I'm like, yeah, no,
Yeah, I struggle with that because too, you're also having an entirely different cast. So you're asking people to re-envision a project that's already been done and a character that's already been built and then further it. It's a great challenge for the actor, but yeah, I mean, even revitalizing a film after 15 years, I sometimes don't enjoy.
yeah.
So,
Mm-mm.
but then, yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm not sure. I mean, as I said here, I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna watch this. Perhaps I will at some point. But
Yeah,
I would appreciate if they create another story. Make it a you
something
can
new.
yeah, go for it instead of trying to use something that it was cool and like most of it that it was not intended for a sequel.
Right, right.
The
Like,
first one
if
was
you
pretty
talk to the producers
straightforward.
back then, they probably had no clue that a
Mhm.
sequel was going to be made.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so we'll see here. I mean, it's a couple of interesting films, especially
Hmm.
Twisters. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
So yeah,
What what film is the one that you absolutely want to watch?
I will leave it between Deadpool 3 and the Joker for sure. The second one with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
Between those two, for sure. What about you?
I would say American Fiction and Joker.
Mm,
Yeah,
mhm,
I would
mhm.
go see both of those in the cinema.
Those two.
Which
Okay.
American Fiction's already out. I just need to get some time off of work.
There you go. There you go, and there you have it. Also, let us know in the comments which films are you excited about, or yeah, let us know real quick. But also, as I said at the beginning, make sure to go follow Mallory now. I mean, you already know why she's super badass. If you haven't found out, I'm gonna leave in the description the previous episodes we have here, so you could be like, I get it now. I totally get it. And again, Mallory, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep killing it out there. Keep rocking. Keep shining. Keep being super badass. And I'll see you in the next one.
See you next time, Dan. It's always
right.
great.